This is a short overview on how to use the survey module on WiseEyes. First, we're going to start by creating a new survey. We're going to type in the project name. We're then going to designate a client and then a user that is affiliated with this client. Our project will be created and we can now access it in the first silo. We have a bit of information we can fill in. We can set start date, end date, hibernate the project. We can designate where it is in the planning. We can put a site address, a site contact, and even designate who is in charge of this project. From here, we are going to upload a plan. It will pull up an office floor plan that I have set aside ahead of time. In the top left, there is a little line that you can move around. We're going to put it over the doorway to indicate a measurement to scale our image. So everyone knows that a doorway is 3 feet across. And then we're going to title our floor plan. Okay, now we have our floor plan here in the project. We can add more later on if we so desire. From here, we're going to add some icons. I'm going to add a data cable. I'm also going to add a bullet camera. I'm going to add an access point. And I'm going to add a scissor lift. So I can see now that I have 4 icons selected for my project. Next, I'm going to pass this to the survey silo. Just to kind of revisit the dashboard, you can see that the project has moved now to its next silo. Returning back to the project, I can now interact with other elements in this menu. I can add some attachments if I have some non-project items. Maybe I have some images, or I have some contracts I would like to save in here. I can also access my survey by clicking on it, letting it load, clicking on the survey, and pressing Open Survey. This will bring me to my survey. I can pan around as much as I want, zoom in, zoom out, and I can start adding icons. So let's say, for example, this camera, I'm going to add it in this corner. Now, initially, this is really small. You can kind of see that it's not that visible. So I'm going to increase how big these icons will appear. So I'm going to increase it to a size that is visually pleasing for me. So I have set my new icon size. From here, I can set how the range of coverage for this camera will be. I think this camera will have around 60 degrees width and it goes 10 feet. I can also set the opacity of how solid or not or opaque this will cover. I can change the color. I can change what direction the field is facing. I can even change the direction the icon is rotated so it matches up. I am also able to add some info. So this label, I can label my camera, camera 1. I can put in the height and some other information. I'm also able to upload an existing picture from either my tablet, phone, or computer. I can take a picture using my camera, or I can even leave an audio recording, like so. This is a sample audio recording. And then it'll be able to be played back later by the designer. So I will submit my changes, and I will have this here. I can also duplicate icons. If I would like to speed up my process of placing icons, I can duplicate an existing icon and place them where I'd like. The important thing to note is that it doesn't copy the info from this section. So that way, each camera, as we know, is different. So you will have to fill those in. We also have the option to add cable routes. You can click on the icon you want to start a cable route, and it will give you a small line that you can drag and drop. If you want to extend this cable or turn a different direction, you can press Add Line, and you can play with the vertices to get it to properly navigate the direction you want it to. If you've noticed, I can also remove cable lines. I can remove one in the middle, and it will fix itself. I can change the color of my cable route. I can add information regarding my cable pathway, including what type of cable route it is. I can leave attachments, voice recordings, and it even gives me an approximate length of how long this cable route would be. So this segment of cable route that is highlighted is approximately 7.5 feet, but this total length will be 14.5. Now that I have all my icons down, I'm going to add just a few more for the purpose of demonstration. You can see for my access point, I can set the coverage to be 360 to kind of give me an estimate of how big my access point will cover, um, and some cable. So now that I have placed these, I can view all of my data in options. There's an option called icon data. Well, basically, each set of icons is in its own table where you can view typed in information as well as any attachments. I also have the option to check out my routes. I can see my route name and which segment. Lastly, I have the option to send this sample that I've created as well as download it straight to my computer. And if any of these visuals are too much, we can also toggle off things like the toolbar or my icons on the side, or some pictures that would show up on the bottom, or my cable routes. Okay, now we will return back to the project. As you've noticed, everything saves after every action, so don't worry about your data being lost. Once we have a floor plan, we're going to push this to design. Now, typically, a site survey will be done on a tablet, so the information there won't be as great as the designer when he gets it. So when he gets it, he will open the design and he can go into much more detail. So maybe the site survey, he put these cables here, and it's the designer's job to now add cable routes for this. And he can also add some more information. So the designer will be getting a similar tool to the surveyor, but now he can add a lot more detail. Once we've made our changes, we're going to pass this then to the estimate. The estimator can view an existing design, take a look at it. He can return back to the project. He can also easily view all the tables and see what data is available, and he can even send an email or download an Excel sheet with all of his icons. So in case he wants to add his own information, like budgeting or uh, a different field that we haven't added just quite yet. So once the estimator has finished his work, he's going to pass this to deployment. In deployment, we can fill in the scope of work for technicians. So currently, I'm signed into an account that is in a managerial role. So in each icon, I can access under info, I can set a start and end date for a specific icon. I can designate a technician. Here's a custom field that we can set. For this instance, I put test to basically indicate that, hey, we need to test this device, make sure it works. And then I can leave a comment. All of these fields will be accessible to your technicians, and they can read and provide feedback, including comments and pictures on their progress. Now that I've finished assigning technicians some roles and the project has been fully built, I will finally pass this to as-built, where it reaches its final stage. So the project now exists in as-built and the client will have access. So excuse me a moment while I toggle to our client's account. So now we are in the client's account. He is logged in, and the first thing he will see are his projects that have been assigned to him and that have reached the as-built stage. So you can see that this is a project we've been currently working on. He can view all of our data. As you can see, there are a few items on our UI that we are still working on, but we make updates daily. So expect this to look better very soon. But in terms of functionality, you can see that the client can access this survey. He can request for action in case anything is broken and access a lot of the information from this project. So let's open this as built. The client has access to all these icons, can see where everything's placed. He can even view the information regarding them. If he has any requests for changes, let's say this cable here, he can make a report. He can say, cable is not working. He can choose to upload pictures, take a picture by himself, or even leave an audio recording for us here at the office. Once he submits this, this automatically sends an email to the account manager on staff. Managers can see this hazard notification and get things in order to fix this. And that's everything you need to know in a short overview of WiseEyes.